Hello. So, as I was saying, I would like Ron to kind of pan the audience and everybody wave, because you know what? Since we're only doing the talk now online because of copyright restrictions, there are some people that miss you. And especially we heard from Jan Renser in England, Wales actually, who said, oh, if I just see the talk, I don't get to look at my peeps. So we'll do that every once in a while. We'll pan the audience. So I also want to say that that was the sweetest beginning of the service that I've experienced in a long time. Dave, you just did a great opening. And that song of Give Yourself to Love, it just touched me a lot. And then Sarah's prayer and Allison's song. So I'm all filled up, which is a good thing. This is the theme for our month here, the power of generosity. I'd like you just to look a little bit over here at Carine's altar, and this is one that you really need to walk by, because this figure here, we can't figure out if it's a Christ figure or a Buddha or an avatar, but it's an amazing piece of art that Carine has done, and it's about generosity. It's about giving all the things that are that make us happy, because that's what we're talking about this whole month. The theme of the month, based on the quote from Ernest Holmes, is we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. And what this speaks of is the amazing generosity of our source, that God, or the Infinite One, or loving intelligence, Great Spirit, Goddess, however you speak to and of this Ultimate One, gives everything, and by its nature, it cannot withhold anything. It gives everything all the time, all the time. So my talk today is Give to Your Heart's Content, which I'll explain in just a moment. The word for today, and this is my, oops, almost fell off, favorite, it's my favorite picture. Loving kindness is the concept for today. Can you all see this wonderful, wonderful tiger and this monk? Loving kindness really is tenderness and consideration towards others. And so, not that it would be appropriate for any of us to lick someone's forehead, but it actually works for the tiger and the monk, I think, very much. And I've gazed at this since Mary found it to put up on the PowerPoint, and this is now my new mental equivalent of loving kindness. That is the sweetest, sweetest picture. So just keep that in mind, because at the very end, we'll talk about the nature of the feeling state of this picture, because that's what I want for all of us today. So the words in the quote are goodness, loving kindness, and givingness. This is the nature of life itself. This is the nature of God. This is the nature of the source that made us. And because we are made in the image and the likeness of our source, it is our nature as well. These concepts, these feeling states, these words are who we are at our most basic level. So as I was thinking about this talk this whole week, I actually have interacted with some people who are in quite a bit of pain. And I thought, if anybody comes to Sunday service and we're talking about loving kindness and givingness and goodness, and they, especially if you're new, you might think, oh, this is so Pollyanna, I really can't stand it in my state right now. So for just a moment, I want to talk about two ways of making it through pain and making it better. I only know of two ways. The first way is to hunt for the source of the pain, to do some memory work in your life, to go back in time and to find the belief that was created by an early experience, and then to change the belief. That is digging around in our subconscious mind and finding the error that we have believed in and has repeatedly in our life brought us pain. And we change the belief. Now, we do that sometimes on Sunday. Every single class does that. Every single class. So that's a very good way of healing pain. It's not what we're going to do this morning. The other way to heal pain, and pretty much the only other way that I know of, is to take the pain, set it beside you, and go and participate in joy. Then, if you want to, you can take the pain back up again, but there's something about participating in joy and in generosity and all of those kind of felt states of goodness, loving kindness, and givingness that help us just dissolve the pain. The example that came to me as I was, again, writing my talk was I was reminded of when I was pregnant for the first time. And I was very, very happy to be pregnant. I was old for a first pregnancy and had looked forward to it for a long time. And so I read all these books about birth. How many first-time moms read a lot about labor? Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. And so I better, figure it out. So I read this great book called Spiritual Midwifery. And among other things, it said, when you have the labor, what did they call them? They were like, no, it wasn't pain, it wasn't contraction, it was like a rush. When you have that labor rush. What you do to get through it is to love your husband. And I thought, well, now that's a little challenging, don't you think, when you're in the throes of this, to love on your husband? And I actually tried it when I could remember it, like once. And it worked. The analogy, of course, is that when we're in pain, if we give love, we will dissolve the pain. Okay? Are you with me on this? Great. So we're going to talk now about the benefits of generosity. Generosity is giving something of value to someone else. That's how it is. So there's a lot of things that happen physiologically. I kind of listed them all because, you're used to listening to me talk for about 25 minutes, but all of these things are very, very intuitive. First is, it reduces stress. So this is from Scientific American. We did a little experiment where we gave people some money, $10, and we said, hey, you can keep all this money for yourself or you can give as much of it as you want away. What we found, consistent with all of our past research, was that the more money people gave away, the happier they felt. Conversely, though, the more money people kept for themselves, the more shame they experienced. And the more shame people felt, the more we saw their cortisol levels rise. Now, this is important because cortisol is thought to explain some of the links that we've seen between stress and disease. So, when we are generous, and this is so intuitive, right? When that loving energy is flowing from us, it reduces our stress, and intuitively we know the opposite as well. If we participate in judgment or impatience, it increases our stress. So you'd think, right, if you're driving along and somebody is slow in front of you, if you just lean on the horn, that will rid you of the stress that you're feeling. Well, no, it doesn't. It increases everybody's stress when you do that. Loving kindness, however, does not. It decreases stress. Next, generosity supports physical health. This is from the Journal of Philanthropy. Giving support rather than receiving it is what is beneficial about being in a close relationship. This idea derives from evolutionary biology and is consistent with social psychology studies of helping and altruism. Evolutionary theories of altruism note the considerable importance of making a contribution to others. We would not be around as a species if not for our willingness to provide for and protect our children, spouses, friends, neighbors, and relatives. So, that's kind of a dry way of saying what we all know already, that being generous supports our physical health just because it makes us feel so good. Next, it enhances one's sense of purpose. What if part of your purpose for being incarnated was to be generous? Actually, that's exactly what we're saying here, that the goodness, the loving kindness, and the givingness of God is our nature as well. And so when we act on that, when we participate in that, we are living our life purpose. This is what it says in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine. A strong correlation exists between the well-being, happiness, health, and longevity of people who are emotionally and behaviorally compassionate. So it stands to reason that generosity, of course, creates more good in the world. And when we are creating more good in the world, it feels like we're on purpose, right? So yeah, it stands to, all of this is very intuitive, as I said. Next, it fights depression. So when we're doing something that creates joy in the world, we can't be unhappy ourselves. That is, I think, why having pets is so important. How many times has Rick Walt told me that Ralph has saved his life? And everybody else that pets his little dog. Because Ralph is really fabulous, because Ralph, pulls generosity out of you. You can't not pet this happy face. And so when you do that, you can't be depressed. So Rick, I want you to tell Ralphie that he was a part of this talk today. What? Yeah. Yeah, so I think Rick will bring him in so you can all have an experience of Ralph. Because what happens is when we're generous, when we're giving of ourselves, we are not listening to the muttering of our mind. And the muttering of our mind is what makes us depressed. We're talking about to ourselves why something is not to our liking, why it makes us unhappy, why it shouldn't be that way, why blah, 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 blah. And when we are just giving of ourselves, then that inner muttering voice shuts off. And so, when I was, a young woman, I had moved away from home. I was on my own, but I was very young. And I lived in Pasadena, California. And at the time in Pasadena, they had a store of St. Bernards. They had a store of St. Bernards and everything that St. Bernards could need, like really big things, big collars and everything. So what they would have for a while, and I you can imagine that this would stop. But for a long time, when I lived in Pasadena, you would go into this store for a St. Bernards, and there would be a bin of puppies. A bin like about 3 times the size of this stand that I'm on, just these enormous roly-poly white and brindle, brownish dogs that would lick your face, and they were right at the exact right height to lick your face. And so, and there were lots of them, like 10 St. Bernard puppies. And so it was a hard time in my life in Pasadena. And I found myself in the St. Bernard store a lot, And it was so sweet, and you could hold them, and it was, so you get the idea. this is an interesting one. It increases your lifespan. Generosity increases your lifespan. So when I found this out, I was reminded of Fred Luskin, and the first time Fred spoke here years and years ago. I remember this so vividly. He said to us that going to church regularly increases your lifespan by 8 years. And I thought, wow, what an interesting statistic. And did he just make that up, or, and what does it mean, regular? But he stood by that it increased your lifespan. So this is from the Journal of Public Health. A 5-year multi-institutional study discovers giving and being unselfish not only helps others, but can also protect the health and prolong the lives of the altruistic. Givers reap benefits similar to the receivers. So if you want to stick around, be generous. Next, generosity improves relationships. So this week, for those of you on Facebook, I sent out this article about the 2 attributes that contribute to the health of relationships more than any other are kindness and generosity. So if you aren't on Facebook, I really encourage you to get a young person to help you get on, because what happens is, as you share things and as you like things, what comes up on your Facebook feed is very much you. It's like, oh, another wonderful thing for me to read. I like this. And so anyway, this article talked about relationships and how people they talked about bids, that people in a relationship kind of throw out a bid to the other one. And I'll give you an example of this. But a bid is like an asking for attention or an asking for participation. And the way that the people respond to a bid says a lot about how successful the relationship is and how long it will last. Because when you get a bid in a relationship, you can either receive it negatively or receive it positively. And you can receive it enthusiastically positively, or kind of sorta. And the same way with the negative. So let me give you an example. So let's say that you're getting dressed in the morning and you say, hey honey, do you like this scarf? That's a bid. They want, the woman wants, something from her partner. So the partner could say, this is a negative, in case you can't recognize it, the negative receipt of the bid would be something like, oh my God, how much did that cost? If you get a lot of those, the relationship is not very happy. Accepting it, but not very enthusiastically, would be when I say, hey honey, how do you like this scarf? Oh, it's fine. It's like almost not accepting it, but it's like I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying anything too negative. So the really positive receipt of a bid like that will be to say, oh my gosh, that's fabulous. You look wonderful. And the color goes with your eyes, and yeah, you look hot today, baby. And so that's the positive receipt of a bid. And as you can see, this is a generous response. It is giving all kinds of things. It is giving, I am really looking at you, I am really seeing you, I am enjoying your beauty, you are attractive to me. That, if you get that, 7 out of 10 times you put out a bid, you are going to be happy in your relationship. So if you don't remember anything else about this morning, although there's going to be some more good stuff coming up here, I want you to remember that when you get a bid from somebody, enthusiastically receiving it definitely contributes to a great relationship. Finally now, generosity promotes self-love and acceptance. And the way this works is, once again, when we have love flowing from us, the inner critic is calmed. You can't really have a critical voice talking to you about how lousy you are when you are giving God's love from your heart. You can't do both at the same time. So it really puts to rest the muttering negative voice and the shrill critical voice when you participate in generosity. So most of what I've told you so far today are psychological reasons that generosity works. But I want to talk for a moment of real science of mind principle, the spiritual discipline that we're all in this morning. And basically, what the basic principle, or one of the basic principles of science of mind, is that what you put forth, you will get back. And you will get it back sort of magnified. And that works for everything. And so if you put out love and generosity and loving kindness and self-givingness, if you replicate the nature of spirit in that way, you are going to get that back into your life in many, many, many ways. And then the other piece I just alluded to is that is our nature. We are made of the loving kindness of God. We're made of the love of God. There's nothing else that's going on in there really unless we forget about it. When we remember that we are made from the love of God and express from that place, we cannot help but be filled with joy. And then when we think about, because a lot of times we find things in science and especially quantum physics that support the spiritual truths, that energy sort of moves in cycles and in waves. And when you're speaking about energy in waves, the waves attract similar waves of energy. And so when we have this circular flow of gratitude and generosity, gratitude and generosity, gratitude and generosity, it all is enhanced. It all builds and builds and builds on itself. So in order to really look at how to practice generosity and gratitude, we've got this fabulous image, how to practice generosity. Now, these are two little ravens who are sharing this blossom, and it's so sweet because you can't really tell who's doing the giving and who's doing the receiving. They both just look like they're having a great time with this gift between them. So there's 4 steps to fully practicing generosity. And the first is give something that is sensitive to the other person. So all of you, and we're going to actually practice this today. This is going to be something that you do after the service. So you all got these little cards when you came in. These cards say, I have this to give, and then your contact information. So we're going to do this like now. If you have an instrument to write with, you might take it out and you might share it with your row. So I want you to think of something that you have to give that someone else might like. And I see the ushers going back there to get more cards if you don't have any. That's wonderful. Thank you. So what do you have that somebody else might like? You might have just finished a really good novel, and you're done with it, and you would like to give it, somebody else might like it. You might even have somebody that you are thinking of that might like it. You might have a really great holiday recipe. The ushers are here with the cards. If you don't have any, Skip needs one down, and Danny needs one here. Michelle, in the front row here. Oh, Danny's got one. Okay, fine. Okay, good. Over here. Oh, just keep your hands up. She'll find you. Okay, so maybe you have an easy holiday recipe that you'd like to share with people. Maybe you have a truck. If you have a truck, everybody's always looking for a truck to take things places, take things to the dump. Or you might be a wonderful photographer. I know several wonderful photographers in our community who might offer to take a photograph. Or you might be able to serve at a holiday party. Now that is so great that, people who give holiday parties and try to be the hostess at the same time, there's a lot that's going on there. So you can say, I'll come and serve for you. That would be fun for me. A practitioner might give a free counseling session. If someone has admired something that you wear, you might think of giving it to them. I've done that, and it's certainly fun. So write something that you have to give, and then after the service, what you're going to do is go up to someone that you think might like this, and like here. I have solstice greeting cards. I have my own solstice greeting cards. I have a box of somebody else's solstice greeting cards, and I'm going to go up to, my little pagan sisters and say, would you like these? And be so happy if they say yes. So we are already a very generous people. In this community, I know of people who have given a kidney, a honeymoon getaway, homes for meetings. Many, many times, Sue Ruda has given homes for meetings. And there are people that give regular green drinks to people that are infirm and need them. And actually, Heart to Heart, that has a table over there, the entire Heart to Heart team is based on unending generosity. And so if you like what I'm saying today, you think this is maybe a good idea for you to give more, check out the Heart to Heart table and say, I would love to make dinner for someone or give someone a ride. So the title of this talk is Give to Your Heart's Content. This is what I'm asking you to do, to however generous you are right now, to up it a little. Just say, I've got even more to give, and I want to. So next is accept appreciation. Allowing people to express gratitude is part of generosity. So when someone appreciates you, don't brush off that appreciation. Really take it in, because as you take in appreciation, your cup fills up and you have more to give. Next, accept the generosity of others. So when someone comes up to you after the service and says, I have this, would you like it? Really think if that would serve you, if you could accept it, and do with great enthusiasm. Because what happens is it all gets mixed up. Are you giving or receiving? Are you experiencing gratitude or generosity? We don't know, because we're all just giving and receiving so much all the time. That's what I want for us. That great feeling of sharing comes up, and we really don't know if we're in the midst of giving or in the midst of receiving. And then finally, show appreciation. Let that love flow from you. And so I want to say to you how much I love being your minister. Thank you. So that was it. The takeaway is, what I genuinely give, I get back multiplied. So, Bodie, darling, I need you now. The word for today, as we go into the inner work, is loving kindness. So I told you we were going to come back to that monk and the tiger. So if you would just bring that image to mind, that sweet monk paying homage to the tiger, and the tiger kissing the forehead of the monk. And maybe you don't know this, but there is a Buddhist meditation called the loving kindness meditation. And so I'm going to read it to you in first person. And then I'm going to ask you to repeat it with you. So May I be free from inner and outer harm and danger. May I be safe and protected. May I be free of mental suffering or distress. May I be happy. May I be free of physical pain and suffering. May I be healthy and strong. May I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. And so now with you, and think of anybody you like. May you be free from inner and outer harm and danger. Repeat. May you be safe and protected. May you be free of mental suffering or distress. May you be happy. May you be free of physical pain and suffering. May you be healthy and strong. May you be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. And now, this song that we're so familiar with, first I, then you, then we, and just take it inside. No, may I be filled. Hold that one. Close.
There's only 1,000 songs.
Be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy, all of us. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. May it be so for all beings.